Times Now has been tracking for the last 2 days. It was on this broadcast that we first told you about the arrest of 7 foreign nationals, 6 Ukrainians and 1 American, picked up by the NI from across India and booked under UAPA for alleged links to activities impacting national security. We tracked how the accused entered India on tourist visas, moved into restricted areas without permits, crossed into Myanmar and established contact with ethnic armed groups linked to anti-India insurgent networks. And now the investigation has taken a significant turn. Top sources tell Times Now that Russian intelligence agencies had flagged suspicious movement of Ukrainian nationals, inputs that were shared with Indian agencies, following which this group was put under surveillance for nearly 3 months. What is now emerging is a far more complex operation involving cross-border movement, alleged drone warfare training, and a wider network that agencies are still working to unravel. Let's take a look at the details that have come to fore so far. Their entire movement was being tracked. Day one, initial revelations that 14 Ukrainians entered on valid visas. Guwahati identified as the entry point. There is a Myanmar link that has been revealed as well. So there are 7 foreign nationals who are nabbed, 6 of them Ukrainians, and 1 of them is an American, a US citizen. That was day one's revelation. Now day 2. Further investigation takes place. Drone training modules are being investigated. 3 Ukrainian citizens have also been identified. This is about the development as far as the investigation is taking place. And the insurgent links are also under the scanner. Then, day 3, Intel 2 action loop revealed. Russian intel flagged movement. So there was an intel input that was shared with India. The inputs were shared about the movement of these individuals. The group tracked for 3 months. Continuously, they were put on surveillance. Their entire movement was tracked for 3 months. So that's how India got to know from Russia about the movement of this group, and their movements were monitored. Now, the American mercenary Matthew VanDyke has a background described as diverse, from being a soldier to war correspondent to founder of Sons of Liberty Council. This man has been a part of several anti-regime missions worldwide. Times Now has accessed details of VanDyke's motive. What was his motive? Let's take a look at the details that we've managed to access. So, mission to overthrow authoritarian regimes. Now, this is as per the statement released by Matthew VanDyke himself. Mission 2, forces fighting for freedom against oppression. Let's take a look at the other motives that he was fighting for. Number 3, provide military training and also conduct covert operations. Number 4, to the leaders of Venezuela, we are coming for you. That was mission number 4. Mission number 5, to Burma and Iran, we are coming for you. Let's take a look at the other missions. Mission number 6, Russia cannot protect you anymore. Mission number 7, you will share the fate of Assad in Syria. And all of this is as per statement released by Matthew VanDyke. These are the details that Times Now has accessed. From regime change plots in Venezuela to military training in Ukraine, this American mercenary's trail is explosive. Times Now exposes the antecedents of Matthew and his covert global network. But why did he, along with 7 foreign nationals, 6 Ukrainians, enter India? Let's take you through the terror trail, the reason behind it. The National Investigation Agency arrested 6 Ukrainian nationals and 1 American, which is Matthew VanDyke, from the national capital, from Lucknow and Kolkata, as they returned from Myanmar. The agency invoked Section 18 of the UAPA, citing conspiracy related to terrorist activity, and sought custody to examine travel routes, analyze seized devices, trace funding source, and identify other associates. The Patiala House Court has remanded all 7 accused to 11 days of NI custody, noting that the allegations include links with insurgent groups and activities that have a direct bearing on national security. Let me go across to Bhavtosh, my colleague, who's joining us in the broadcast with more details. A lot of information has come out. The Russian intelligence warned us. That's how we put this group on surveillance for 3 months. Their entire movement was tracked, and then there are the insurgent links that have come to fore as well, Bhavtosh.
Yes, Swati, in fact, it's an operation where there is a collaboration between Russian central agencies and also India's agencies. Remember, Russia is with a military confrontation with Ukraine for past 5 years, and they have been tracking Ukraine freelancers, and in fact it was an information given by them that Ukrainian freelancers would be entering India as on tourist visa. At least 14 of them entered India around 2 months back, and at least 6 of them have been arrested. 8 of them are still missing. Importantly, these Ukrainians are specialists in drones, and that's what even Ukrainian president has in one of the social media blogs had claimed that they have drone specialization and they can provide services to various countries. And Ukraine's speciality in drone is something which is known very well. And Indian agencies, particularly NIA, started tracking them around 2 to 3 months back. Both Matthew VanDyke as well as these Ukrainian entered India and then subsequently went to Guwahati. From Guwahati, they went to Mizoram. In particular areas of Mizoram, in Chin and Rakhine province, you need a special permit to visit.
We also have Colonel Utkarsh Rathod on the broadcast, defense expert. Bhavtosh, do stay on with us. Colonel Rathod, we are now looking at the larger conspiracy. India was able to put this group on surveillance and nab them in time as well. But what do you have to say about the larger conspiracy?
Of course, this group is not a lone ranger that they have come out to change a regime or help some insurgent groups. There is a supply and there is a support process behind it, and that is the nerve center. It could be arms, it could be drugs, it could be crime syndicate, it could be even proselytization, which is very rampant in northeast of India. So these groups, they may be operating seamlessly with some motive, and there is a financial backing from somebody. They are not alone.
So the intelligence was shared with us by Russia, after which we started monitoring. The entire operation is under investigation. Colonel Utkarsh Rathod, one thing is clear, that the fact that they were establishing links with the insurgent groups, their motive was to destabilize.
One thing is very clear: whenever there is a long-drawn conflict, any part of the world, such people are actually, they come in surplus. There is no surfeit of these guys. And after the conflict is over, or they are tired of that conflict, they move elsewhere. So Ukraine is a classic example of this, because there are a whole lot of people, Europeans, fighting against Russia, and they have expertise, they have the first-hand knowledge of warfare. So that is how they come out, and they group or regroup, and they actually revel in places where the conflict is going on. There is a law and order problem, there is insurgencies brooding. So these places they actually revel in. So that is how they very correctly homed on to India's restive northeast and of course Burma.
All right, sir, do stay on with us. I want to go back to Bhavtosh very quickly in terms of, Bhavtosh, what are you picking up as far as the investigation at this stage is concerned?
Well, as far as investigation is concerned, what is very clear that Matthew VanDyke, who is a specialist in combative military operations, was a freelancer. He was selling his ways, or at least his speciality, on social media platform. He was very active on X as well as on other platforms. NIA has now returned to X as well as other social media platforms, asking them details from where he all in fact operated. Remember, his social media account has many followers. In fact, just 2 months before he came to India, he was talking about drones. And importantly, he also was in direct touch with some ex-special forces personnel. Now, these individuals, it's not the first time that these individuals have been nabbed, but maybe for the first time in India, around a year back in Mizoram, at least one special forces personnel from Britain was nabbed. But what is interesting as far as this case is concerned is that they switched over to Myanmar, where they trained the ethnic armed groups for at least 3 months, and then they were coming back. Now, these modified drones can be used both for smuggling drugs, more importantly, even for combat operation. And that is the reason why NIA has sought 15 days of custody. They managed to get 11 days custody, and they are now looking for at least 8 other Ukrainians who are still missing.
Absolutely. Bhavtosh, we also have Priyank joining us in the broadcast. The obvious question that the agencies also are going to, look at, were these individuals acting on their own? Who was giving them these instructions? Who was supervising? Who really is behind it?
Swati, they have very clear-cut proof before the agencies when they scanned the electronic data which was available before them and which has also been boasted by Matthew. It was quite clear that he has been generating money by getting it from the foreign Christian missionaries. He had been calling him that those Iraqi Christians are the ones who have been funding them. So the role of the Christian missionary is certainly not being unnoticed by the agencies. That is quite clear. A few months back, there was a group of these missionary officials who had visited Manipur also, and they were present in the conflict zone where they were teaching individuals how to use drones and all. So the role of these Christian groups there in the northeastern part of the country is not unnoticed by the agency. But if we talk about the larger conspiracy, it's quite clear that the route which starts from India, which goes via Myanmar and which could connect the southeastern part of the world to a corridor which India has been talking about, could be one of the factors because of which these individuals in the western part of the world are certainly disturbed of. We cannot deny the role of the CIA because time and again they have been seen indulging in these kind of areas where Matthew was also attempting to teach these rebel groups which have been a major threat not only for Myanmar but also for India's internal security. To summarize it, what agencies have been tipping off that there were 20 Ukrainians, Swati, who managed to enter India through Myanmar and which was unnoticed. 6 of them have been arrested. The hunt is on to arrest all those individuals. That's why NIA is not coming out.
Everyone else involved. Priyank, Bhavtosh and Colonel Rathod, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. We have breaking inputs coming in. We're shifting focus to that. Some impact on overall trade in India due to Middle